guys, your girl Kareen here, and happy blessed Tuesday! Yay, I can't believe it's another day of the brand new month of June, and we all have to keep on being proactive for Christ. That's why I hope you've been pondering within yourself and just thinking, okay, what shall I do for Christ more than I haven't done before? What are the things that I could do for Christ during this quarantine time, even though it may seem that we are restricted, right? Even though it's social distancing, online is like the best way to be able to, reach out to people out there for Christ, or being bold for Christ, expanding your knowledge for Christ and God, so really the ideas are endless, really. There's no excuse to be like, oh yeah, I didn't really do much in the quarantine. Really. Do readings, do watch video talks, so you can really expand your mind to know more about Christ and to be like Christ, and so that you can be striving to be like Christ, imitating Christ every single day of your life that God truly blessed you with. Right? So with that said, I hope you've been well. My prayers go to you and your family. I know, again, it's still coronavirus era, but either way though, it's just, make the best out of it, and just constantly place Christ and God in the center of your life, and everything else will flourish. So really, again, thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me for Christ, for God. It's all for God's glory. Really, we have to glorify God's name in everything that we do. Acts of service, acts of charity, showing our love to people around us, online for now, or if you're at work right now, really try to show that virtue of love to those around you by showing that you care. Anything, So, I know we're all in this time of waiting. I know we're all in this time of just waiting and waiting and waiting. But it's a time of preparation, really. So whatever you're praying for, just stay strong, stay fervent. Don't give up, because God is preparing you for greatness. God is preparing you to receive answers and blessings that you've never seen before during this time. I firmly believe that. So really think about that at the back of your mind every time you wake up to start a new day. And with that said, let's get started. Talk to you guys about gratitude for God's grace. Gratitude for God's grace. Because really, every day that we're blessed with another chance to live another life, that's a blessing in itself. And we take that for granted most of the time, because we expect us to be like, okay, I'll wake up tomorrow, I'll do this. But then again, remember, we don't know that day, that hour, and that moment when we'll be called back home to God. So that's why we constantly have to think at the back of our minds, as I mentioned before in my previous videos, that are you ready to meet God face to face? Really, I know it may seem a little overwhelming, but really, that's why you maximize each day that you're blessed with. Maximize each day that you're blessed with, so that you will really dispose of yourself to patience rather than to comfort, and to really carry the cross rather than to enjoyment. Dispose yourself to patience rather than to comfort, and to carry the cross rather than to enjoyment. Meaning that don't give in to the worldly pleasures, but to carry the cross of Christ and to strive to be like Christ, carrying that cross. Because Christ is with you when you're carrying your cross anyway, because God promised that He'll never leave us alone. He'll never abandon us. God will never forsake us. Therefore, carrying the cross with Christ is the best way to endure it, to endure the cross that God permits in our lives. So the reason why I chose this topic for today is because really there's a lot of things that we have to be grateful for, that we don't really think about. And typically, just the fact that you may have a roof over your head, food on the table, a phone camera, just literally we all tend to take it for granted until we lose our phones, that mini heart attack that you have when you like think you lost your phone. But really, there's other things that we have to be grateful for, the basic necessities, right? Because, you know, if you compare yourself in regards to the rest of the world, like the third world countries, they are happy. They are happy in the most simplistic way. You know, even though they may not have the best cars or even not even have a car, but their house is like not in bricks and stones like here. No, not stones, but like how it is here. You know, over there, they are so happy because their lives are so simple in comparison to us. Like we have more options, and so that typically complicates our lives and clears our mind even more. So that's why, like, you know, being grateful to God is very important. You know, just simply tell God, thank you for another day. Thank you for giving me the 5 senses. Thank you for allowing me to walk. You know, it's so basic and we tend to take it for granted until that day when it's gone, right? So that's why spiritual consolations far surpasses all worldly enjoyment and pleasures. You know, spiritual consolations far surpasses all worldly enjoyment and pleasures. You know, because really, like, anything of the world is just empty. Anything of the world is empty and unclean. Essentially, it's not of God. It's just tangible things that will perish, as I said before, right? So that's why we have to turn our heart, we have to turn our mind, we have to turn our soul to Christ and to God, so that we will be able to see what's beyond this world. We will be able to see our true potential to really accomplishing that mission that we are called to do, that universal holiness, as I said. That universal holiness is very important, that we always have to think about, you know. So really, but during that process of following that mission for Christ and proclaiming God's word out there for Christ, we have to be humble. The act of humility is very important, and that we have to be cautious to not lose God's graces. Therefore, we have to be grateful to God by thanking Him first, so that He will continue to bless us with more graces and blessings going forward along that journey. You know, because really it feels really different when you're in that dry period with Christ. So that's why great gratitude to God. To add on, like when it comes to spiritual joys, they're delightful and honest, and they give you that sense of inner peace. Spiritual joys, because they are all graces blessed from God. You know, because they spring from virtue. You know, they spring from virtue, and they are instilled by God into a pure soul. Instilled by God in a pure soul. So that's why each day we have another chance to live for Christ. Strive to have that pure soul, just as Christ did, just as our Blessed Mother Mary did. So that's why in the eyes of God, we will be able to succeed and surpass this world, and to really go beyond what this world has to offer. Because Jesus, God, our Blessed Mother Mary, Holy Spirit, what they can give us is eternal happiness and joy forever and always in heaven. So that's why I don't seek anything of this world, but to only seek the greatness of God and seek the greatness of the blessings and graces of what God can give you. That is what we should be striving for, to receive more. And that's why, you know, when you receive those blessings from God, when you receive those graces from God, the time of temptation is never long absent. The time of temptation is never long absent. What I mean by that is that along that journey, when you're receiving graces, temptation will always be there. Maybe you'll have some period times where it's just peaceful, because God's graces are all over you. But they don't last, because the enemy will constantly always throw times of temptation right at you. Because remember, as you become closer and closer to Christ, the more the enemy will try harder. The more the enemy will try even harder. So that's why we have to always keep on spending quiet time with Christ, quiet time with God, so that we will be able to be prepared, well equipped, with the love, the mercy, the graces of God, and the strength and guidance and the power of the Holy Spirit upon us, so that we will be able to repel off the enemy and the temptations, and to not give in and to not succumb to our weaknesses. So that's why, like, when it comes to having that false freedom of mind and overconfidence, technically it's a great resistance to heavenly visits. Meaning that if you can think that you can do everything on your own will without God, which leads to that sense of pride that, like, oh, I don't need it. I don't need God. I can handle it on my own. I just work hard and that's it. End of story. No, that's not how it works. Because really everything comes from God. Everything, including your life. The fact that you're living right now and you're able to watch this video alone, that in itself is a blessing and a gift from God. So that's why always think that everything of this world is from God. All the blessings that you have are all from God. And we can never have that own free will to think that we can do it on our own. Because it leads to a sense of pride. It leads to that over self-confidence that I don't need God. So that's why all the time, we need God. We need God, we need Jesus Christ, we need our Blessed Mother Mary to keep us equipped, to keep us strong, to keep us solidified in our faith, to keep us grounded and rooted deeply in our faith, in a relationship with God, with no fail. So that's why always be grateful to God for all his blessings, no matter if it's trials and tribulations. Embrace those trials and tribulations with love, and embrace them, and know that this is the time to be strengthened during that time of trial and tribulation. And it's very important we look at it in that context, so that we will not be discouraged, and we will not be doubtful, and we will not give up. We will not give up on God, Christ, and our Blessed Mother Mary, and the Holy Spirit. Don't forget, that's why, with God does well in sending the graces of comfort to us. However, we as humans are weak and we're frail. So we are very frail, and we just lose that sense of thought to show that gratitude to God, and we do so little in returning that favor to God. We do so little, that's why, we have to think about the fact that every blessing that God gives us is a multitude of love from God, really. And that's why we always have to thank him. When you wake up, thank him for another day. Simple as that. And then allow him to begin your day with the grace to endure what's to come, right? Because God's gift of graces will not flow within us if we have that ingratitude to God. And God is the source. He's the source of everything. Love, mercy, grace, strength, guidance, power. Love. Everything. So we all need that grace of patience, especially right now. And that grace to endure, and that grace to be fervent, that grace to be persistent in everything that we do. Because really, when we're grateful to God, we are showing that act of humility to God, telling him that you are the source, you are everything. I cannot do my life without you. I cannot live my life without you. I can't do it alone. Because through you, I can do many wonders, through your power and through your grace and through your strength within me and deeply rooted in my heart. Because really, with God, he is ready to give graces to those that are humble. God is always ready to give graces to those who are humble and ready to deny themselves for Christ and to live their lives for Christ, no matter what vocation that may be. That's why when it comes to the vocation of marriage, think about it, that you are being called to grow in holiness with a special, significant other, the person that you will love, and growing closer to Christ with that person and bringing them closer to Christ, and vice versa. So that's why accepting graces from God allows us to be more humble and prudent, and being more ready than ever to deny this world. And to only focus on God and to focus on what's needed to be done, which is following the will of God, which is following how God leads us, even though it may seem outside of our comfort zone, and really following all the blessings and being grateful for all the blessings as well. And therefore, using all the gifts and talents and skills that you are blessed with. That's what it encompasses as well. So that's why be grateful. You will be worthy to receive even more graces. When you are grateful and when you are humble in the eyes of God, you will be receiving more graces, and you will be worthy to receive more graces because of your humility and for your virtue of gratitude, right? Because nothing small is ever in the eyes of God. Everything is big in the eyes of God. Every small task you do for God is big in His eyes, because nothing is left unseen in the eyes of God. Nothing is left unseen in the eyes of God, as I said. Right? So therefore, be more humble at heart. So therefore you'll be full of truth, you'll be full of heavenly joy and happiness, and you'll be able to endure what's to come, and you will not let the chaos of this world get to you. But only you will be the light of Christ. You will be that fire of illumination for Christ out there, being an example of Christ, boldly, fervently, confidently, and you will not let the temptations of the enemy get to you. And you're really solidified and deeply rooted in Jesus Christ. Don't forget. So really, to close off, I want to leave you guys with a last thought, that whatever God permits in your life, it's for your own greatest salvation for Christ. It's for your own greatest salvation for Christ. Because think about it this way, when God permits trials and tribulations in your life, He's doing that with love, so you can grow spiritually. You can have that advancement in your spirituality and deepening that relationship with Christ and with God, and fully deepening that trust in God, even though it may seem that you're in that time of waiting, and you're in that time of unknown, and you're in that time of that cloud of unknowing. So really just think about it that way. Don't look at it, as I said before, don't look at it like God is punishing you because He's dropping trials and tribulations in your life. But no, He is permitting trials and tribulations in your life for a purpose, for your greatness, for your salvation, for your increase in holiness. So really just think about it that way. And from that point on, you will truly succeed for Christ. From that point on, you will constantly look at all the trials and tribulations in your life and crosses in your life as a way of growth, as a way that God is calling you out for greatness. So really, you're bold, you're confident. I know that. I believe in you. I don't know who's watching this, but I'm sure that God has blessed you with boldness and greatness and confidence in Christ. And really, don't forget that. Don't allow the chaos of this world to make that trust become frail, but to increase your trust in God. Even when you don't know what's coming next, you don't know what's to come, but only the best of the best has yet to come. because it's of God. He only gives us the best of the best and nothing else, nothing less than that. So that's why maybe a storm now, due to this whole quarantine and social distancing and everything, and the other chaos in the US. But greatness will come out of it. Greatness will come out of it, and goodness will come out of it. So don't give up, stay strong in Christ, and as I always love to say in all my videos, don't be afraid to be true warriors of Christ.